shit.
No, heck, dude.
I mean, I didn't mean to start it so soon. If it needed to start earlier, if it needed to start sooner, I mean, I should have started it later.
No, it's okay, man. This is just the Dude Crew podcast pilot.
Well, then we're okay.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna go awry on the pilot.
Yeah,
right?
man. The pilots are great. Welcome to the podcast, everyone.
Welcome, guys.
First podcast, and
we
are the Dude Crew.
We are the Dude Crew indeed, and I'm very excited to not have to focus on playing any games and just getting to talk with my best pal, one of my best friends of all life, with you, buddy. You rude piece of shit. I mean, rude dude.
Fuck you. Yeah. So we're gonna do this. This is really nice to not have to think about how do I play this game at, according to us, a semi-mediocre.
How do we be good at this game? How do we entertain you people with this game? I mean, it's not something that we don't want to do. No, we absolutely love doing every second of it, even if it is entertaining 10 of you at this point. But those 10 of you, it's really cool to have people watch it in the first place. And I hope that you guys enjoy us being able to talk with you on a more homely manner.
Ooh, yeah. And I've actually got a story to kick us off with.
All right, go ahead. Let us hear this story. I've been waiting to hear this story for a while.
So this actually happened today. I was, simple thing. I was just getting a haircut. Okay?
Okay, yeah.
And I by no means get my hair cut in like a picky particular way.
Oh, okay.
I just say side short, top a little bit longer, in a nutshell.
That's a hell of a lot more dudeish than what I did. I mean, I'm picky as fuck, dude. But continue.
But yeah, I go in and I went to Great Clips. So.
Oh, you're already going to the 5-star place to hair. Like, that is the place to get your hair cut, man.
Well, let me tell you. I go in there and I sit down and I say, so what I usually get is 3/8 of an inch on the side.
Okay.
And I feel like that's a pretty standard
thing. That's a common thing. Like, I'd say 3 guard on the side, and that is a 3/8 of an inch.
Yep. So I say 3/8 of an inch on the side. And the top, usually they do scissor length, like a little bit longer than clippers, but I'm not too particular about that. That's just how everyone usually does it.
Right.
And let me tell you, there are few things more terrifying than when the hairdresser asks you questions that they should know.
Oh, no.
After I said what I wanted, she said, so what guard is a 3/8 inch guard?
Oh, no.
And I'm just immediately like, I don't really know.
Oh my gosh.
I usually just say 3/8 of an inch. And she kind of looks around and she's like, well, we've got like a 1 and a 2 guard. And then she has to ask another employee like, hey, what guard is 3/8 of an inch? And like, it's okay to not know what things are if it's like your first day or something. But she didn't seem like it was her first day, She seemed like she eased into everything really well.
And she's never been asked a specific measurement? I mean, that seems like a pretty common question. I mean, like you say, you pretty much got the standard dude haircut, like, hey, 3/8 of an inch on the side, scissor length on top. Like, that's, I mean, even though I say I'm picky, I ask for a 3 guard on the sides and then either scissor clippings or maybe a 6 or a 7. And that's a lot longer for like clipper guards, but if it's their profession, like it is what they do for a living. Literally, they have that one job. They should at least know what measurements do for what guards, in my personal opinion.
Right. I'm right there with you. And I mean, it was genuinely scary. Like, oh God, I'm about to get such a bad haircut, which it turned out, it's okay. It's not the best haircut I've had, but maybe I've had worse. I don't know.
It's your Great Clips haircut.
Yeah, there's spots you can tell that like, they didn't pay a whole lot of attention on that. The second
Oh,
thing that kind of got me scared, like, Jesus, this is gonna be a bad haircut, is she's whenever she gets the clippers on the
yeah.
sides, she's doing like this real lazy, like sweeping with one hand, just like up and down, super quick, all around my head, and I'm like, oh god, something's gonna
What the?
go very wrong with this.
That seems so brash.
It
Like,
was, and that's not even the part that got me scared. The part that got me scared is she was doing around my ears, and
uh-huh.
luckily, like the way my glasses sit is weird. That's right, I wear glasses. I can't see worth a damn. Um,
Okay.
the way my glasses sit, the tops of my ears are pretty calloused,
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
but not in like a way that makes my ears weird. So just don't think that. But
You're not like freaking rock skin on your ears, or you're not the freaking thing, I guess. You don't
no,
have weird crusty looking ears.
no, I
Let's
don't
just
have
put it there. That's what I'm
fucking
trying to say.
mongoloid ears.
Jesus.
But she was doing around my ears and like got the clippers hung on my ears. Like on my right ear, the guard was just like stuck on my ear where she like went too shallow with it. And it didn't hurt that much, but I was just like, oh god, if she's doing this already, I'm fucked for the rest of
What
this
the
haircut.
fuck? Oh my
I
gosh.
I know.
Now, how, like, it didn't make you bleed or anything like that, but I really want to know. I just don't know in general. What happens when your salonist like makes you bleed and hurts you? Like, you're not signing up any wavering like issue, and especially with today's society where everybody's butthurt about fucking anything, and you could
Yeah.
just get sued over saying the wrong type of words. What about a hairstylist that makes your ears bleed? Like, what happens then? I mean, like, I guess I don't know. I could We all have the internet in our pockets, and I
Right.
could totally break the fourth wall and Google it right now.
Could.
But I don't feel like I want to be that unprofessional on the pilot. You know what? Fuck it.
Do it.
I'm going to look it up right now. Let's see here. What happens whenever you get clipped in the ear by a
I
hairstylist?
mean, I guess if they're not an asshole, they'll give you a little bit of a discount. I mean, mistakes happen, but if they like injure you through a haircut, I would expect at least like, oh yeah, I'll take like $2 off the haircut because, I cut your ear. Something like maybe that's stingy of me, I don't know. But if I were to like because I work with a lot of electronics. It's in my job. I'm not going to tell you where I work. Fuck off.
Right.
If I were to like mess up someone's phone because I work with a lot of phones. If I were to mess up someone's phone, I couldn't just say, "Whoops, it happens," and then everything's fine. They would absolutely expect something of that because it's my job and I'm supposed to be able to do it correctly, without error. And I don't,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I get it. So I was looking it up, as you told the wonderful audience,
yeah,
where you don't work, right?
right.
And apparently, if you don't need stitches, or you basically take a picture of the damage, you go to a lawyer, and then it's an injury-based lawyer who takes like a percentage of whatever recovery. And if there is no recovery, then you just fucked yourself because they're going to take your money anyway. So really, salonists, they're pretty safe.
Wait, are you talking about like suing someone over an injury?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, no. Hell no, I wouldn't expect that at all.
No, look, but no, like that's. I mean, I looked it up, like what happens in that, and the first result, I'm looking it up, and it's instantly legal help. That's the type of fucking society that we live in. That is the first result that comes up. If that happens, then well, how do I sue them? Well, you can try, but it's not gonna be worth your time or effort
Holy
unless you
shit.
require stitches from it.
That's
But
bonkers.
yeah. Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Those fucking Jews. I mean, those
Haha.
fucking people. Are they even people? Shit. I'm basically Hitler now. Fuck. What have I done?
You see, it's like, I don't. I feel like you saying Jews isn't as big a deal because generally people make that as a joke and oh, yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah,
fuck you, you're a
funny.
bad person for saying Jews. Like, I don't think that many Jewish people are going to be mad at us for saying Jews,
If
but they're like,
anybody has a sense of humor, it's definitely the Jews.
right. But there are some groups out there that I would not say in that sort of context because they would immediately get pissed and
Uh-huh.
like make a big deal about us making that joke.
I
And
don't
here's the
even want to
thing.
mention the type of people that would make a big deal out of it. Like that's how scared we are as a society of it.
And guess what? If you're the kind of person that they're like, "Oh, they're fucking talking about me. They're making jokes about me because I'm in a group of people that people associate with that." Then guess what? You're associated with it because you jump to that conclusion that you are that kind of person.
And you know what we have to say to that kind of person?
Fuck
Fuck you.
you.
Fuck you indeed.
Yeah,
Oh man, that was awesome. That was on cue. We said that together like we
ooh,
meant it.
we did mean it.
We did indeed mean it.
I don't
So
like it.
let's segue. I want to segue into a less controversial area. I don't want this to be a bitching and moaning and complaining type of
Right? No,
podcast.
we want to be
Um,
fun guys.
yeah, we want to have fun. We want you to have fun with us. So let's go into a subject that is important to nobody. Um,
Yeah.
what is your favorite game series? If you had to pick one, like don't think about it too hard. Usually it's whatever you instantly think of on the spot of your head, and that's pretty much your favorite game series of all time.
Well, I gotta say, whenever you said that, just
Yeah.
going off what you said, first
Hmm.
thing that came to my mind was the Mario games. It's hard to hate Mario games.
Instantly, yes. Like I have three game series that instantly comes to my mind, and as much as I hate to admit it, like Mario was the first one. I'm
It's
such a
classic.
Zelda fanboy too, though.
Okay.
And oh man, see, I cracked my voice, so obviously maybe Zelda isn't my favorite game series.
Oh.
And then the third game series of all time is Final Fantasy, and
Final installment.
oh, the final installment last time, but next time, but next time, but last time, but this time type of let me get rebooted. Oh, the story plot is gonna get convoluted. I don't know, man.
Oh, dude,
But
sick rhyme.
yeah, dude, that was oh man, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
You're a
that's a
poet and you didn't even realize that you were one.
wow. It's like I can rhyme, but I don't have any minutes that I take on going into it. But yeah,
Damn,
man.
we're
So
funny.
so so Mario games, your favorite game series, and I know you're going to say, and it's such a cliche favorite Mario
No, I'm
game.
gonna say it.
You say your favorite Mario game. Let me cringe away at this.
Super Mario World. Ha! Just kidding. It's Mario
Ah,
64.
you're so funny. It's like you said my favorite Mario game.
Yeah, you cringed pretty hard, didn't you?
Yeah, I did
Woo!
cringe really hard because I was like, oh, but that's mine, and I'm like,
Oh,
oh, I'm also stereotypical. Just another normal man on a
fucking
normal
normie.
podcast. You fucking normie, piece of shit. Don't talk to me that way and that tone of voice. I don't like you looking at me with that voice.
Yeah. But I'm gonna go
Ugh.
ahead and say Mario 64 is my favorite because I've got hardcore nostalgia goggles for it.
Yeah, that's a lot of people do, and it's fair. I mean, it was like it was one of the first Mario games that I saw graphically remade and remastered, and I
Uh-huh.
really enjoyed it too. Did you
Yeah.
ever play the Mario 64 on the DS?
I haven't played it much. I know they added a lot of stars, a lot of minigame stuff. You can be different characters. One thing I
Yeah.
didn't like about it is that you had to hold a button to sprint, which is
Yes.
a small thing, but
It
I
was
really
so
didn't like
cool.
that aspect.
It was so cool, dude. Like as a Super Mario World player,
Uh-huh.
it felt natural to me, especially on the Nintendo DS. Um, like button layout, I felt like I was playing a 3D Mario game where in every single Mario game you have a sprint button. And even though
Okay.
you don't like that you have to hold a button to run,
Uh-huh.
or run as fast as you would, they still made the speed of Mario a little faster while sprinting, while holding that button down
Uh-huh.
than he originally was in the 64 game.
Whoa, a little bit of audio technical issues there. Cut out a little
Oh,
bit there.
great. Super duper fantastic.
Woo! Yeah!
Let me
Yeah!
let me just try to re-explain that.
Just the
Technical
end.
difficulties
We
aside.
we heard
Uh,
most of it.
so let's say you hold the button down. They did make Mario a slight bit faster
Uh-huh.
than his original 64
What? Fuck, man.
counterpart by holding the button down. It's almost negligible, but you can tell from the distance traveled, and it's just like it's such a small, I would say, polish with that it felt awesome running around, especially in a free range area or a non-linear fashion.
Okay. We we got most of that. There was a small part in there that cut out. I don't know what the dealio is. It's
Is it?
just
Am I still cutting out right now?
no, right now you're not. It's just like every so often. It's
Yeah,
strange.
that's, oh my gosh.
Behind the
Whatever, that's
scenes with the Dude
fine.
crew.
Be super behind the scenes. Will it be release scenes? Only you will know.
Oh! Ha
So, okay, well, Mario games aside, in our favorite genres in general,
ha! Uh-huh.
did you play many of the Zelda games anyway?
See, and that's a weird one for me because I have played a few of them.
Right.
I didn't play a single Zelda game until I believe 2013. I think
Holy
that's when I played
shit.
my first Zelda game. My
Holy
first one
sh-
was Twilight Princess, actually.
Oh, golly. I'm so sorry.
See, I liked it. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. It's
The thing
just
is,
so barren and empty, and it's too big of a landscape for the amount of activities that you can do. I mean, it's not the horrific nightmare of Skyward Sword, and riding around on your horse and being able to swing like effortlessly. That feels really cool
uh-huh.
about Twilight Princess, but and like I'm coming from a fan base of, I was looking forward to Twilight Princess's release since 2002 or 2003.
Oh.
Um, and they showed it for the GameCube, and they
Uh-huh.
showed this really dark and gritty Zelda game, and it had the graphics that were promised of like the new age Zelda games that
Yeah.
people at the time of Wind Waker's release were still kind of butthurt that they got a cartoony Zelda game, even though they didn't realize that that would be a way more timeless game than Twilight Princess would be.
Uh-huh.
But you know, even just as a kid, I really looked forward to this Zelda game coming out, and when it finally did, and it was fun. I mean, I beat the whole GameCube version of it 100%,
Oh.
probably on my second playthrough, because I really loved it at the time. I
Uh-huh.
got it for the Wii version.
Yeah.
Uh, After I finally got a Wii, I was a little late to the game since they released Twilight Princess for the Wii first. Another thing I was slightly salty about,
Uh-huh.
but they had it completely reversed. So I pretty much knew the whole landscape. I just had to remember, oh, okay, it's this part, it's this side.
Right.
But again, I've 100%ed Ocarina of Time. I still don't consider Ocarina of Time one of my favorites. I've 100%ed
Oh.
Majora's Mask, and A Link to the Past, and I still find a lot more fun replaying those games than I do Twilight Princess. But I will give Twilight Princess's character development pretty good standards. I mean, it seemed like even though it was a more empty game, every
Uh-huh.
character in that game did have more of a personalized attitude. Like the original shopkeeper in the downtown area, or the Hyrule Castle Square, I guess, where he was
Yeah.
an original snob, like, oh, you can't enter here unless you have your shoes dusted off, type of guy, and then that weird baby freak buys out the shop, and then it becomes is it Malon's shop or Mallow's shop, and it's just like this incredibly wacky story, like this, and it's everything's a lot cheaper at that time, and it's such a cool change, and it's that environmentally different aspect of Zelda games. Let me try to re-English that 1 second.
Okay,
The fact
sure
that you
thing.
could change the environment first-handedly felt really awesome, and the extravagant amount of rupees that you got in Twilight Princess really paid off just from buying the magic armor and using it alone. But it did feel like a bit of a cop out when you used it. Excuse me. Hiccups are so fun. Luckily, I can get rid
I
of those
bet. Ooh,
instantly. So what do you have to add? Your first Zelda game again was Twilight Princess, and I decided to talk about it way too long.
it's okay.
What would you say? What makes you really like Twilight Princess? Um, if you like it more than other Zelda games, per se.
It's not my favorite. I would have to say my favorite is Wind Waker,
Hmm.
but I've only played the Wind Waker HD remake. So,
Well,
I,
I mean, I loved Wind Waker on the GameCube enough to complete it twice.
okay.
Where you get out of the tunic and then you can get the color photograph box on the GameCube version. That was
Yeah.
such a big deal. I think on the Wii version, it's just instantly, and you can take selfies, and it's so cool. Uh,
Yeah.
but like, it's just I don't know anything about the HD remake
Uh-huh.
to give it like its own review compared to the original release, but I would say they're probably pretty similar.
I think so. It's a gorgeous game. Um,
Oh yeah, by far.
like the sea is huge, but it doesn't feel empty by any means. And
No.
I think that's one thing it picked up for me that, like you said, Twilight Princess didn't have is, the world doesn't feel empty in parts. Like
Right.
there are enemies in the overworld in Twilight Princess, but they kind of feel like they're just there sometimes.
Yeah, they're not there to for any purpose. They're just there to get in your way and something to whack at along your way. And then, again, later in Twilight Princess, you don't even explore the world anymore. You literally howl your way to different areas,
Uh-huh.
and that's pretty much the main transportation once you get to that part of the game. While in Wind Waker, I still found myself constantly sailing, constantly taking my ship everywhere. I mean, sure, there were tornado hotspots that you could teleport to, but that was
Right.
still, it was still certain locations and you would still have to sail. But I never felt a prolonged section of the game that didn't belong. I do know in the HD remake, they got rid of the Tingle Triforce maps. Is that correct?
That's what I've heard. See, I didn't play the original, so I don't really know what the Tingle Triforce maps
Oh,
are,
man. Oh, gosh.
but I didn't really have to do much with Tingle in the game. So, I
You had to
guess
do a lot with Tingle in the original Wind Waker, and the fact that he ate up, I believe, 3,000 rupees for all of the Triforce charts.
oh,
Like it was a lot of it was that was the portion of the game that felt slow, and that was the only portion of the game that felt slow, but it was still fun in a sense of like, all right, you little fat asshole, how much money you gonna take from me this time? Here's a stupid chart. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tell me where the freaking dungeon for the Triforce piece is. Let's get it over with. Did you still have to visit those dungeons that had the Triforce pieces, or was it just? I mean, tell me the segue from uh, going from the original dungeons to the first time that you go underwater.
going underwater.
Yeah,
Um,
after you go underwater, you unleash Zelda. After everything that happens there.
yeah. Um, well, I can't make much of a comparison. You go through some different dungeons, then you fight a Ganondorf, maybe a Shadow Ganondorf. It's been a little while. Um, then let's
Okay,
see.
that's fair.
You have to awaken the two like spirits or whatever,
Okay,
and
I think
then you
that's
get
before you go underwater.
okay.
Oh, no, 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 no. You have to go to the weird Jabu Jabu. And no, I still believe that is before you go underwater.
Well, anyway, I had to get Triforce pieces. Got them out of
But you didn't
ships.
have to get a charts. Okay, okay,
Right.
cool. So you still had to get the Triforce pieces. They were just portrayed differently than they were in the original game.
That's what it seems like, yeah.
Right. And I'm sure if anybody else besides our audience now listens to this, then they're probably telling me as I speak, why don't you just look it up? How come you don't know if you're such a Zelda fanboy? I'm sorry that I already bought 2 Wind Wakers, you fools, and I've already have multiple Zelda games before, and I'm in a poor situation right now to not have Zelda HD Remake. Get
Someone
off my
out there
case for it.
right now is probably just shouting to themselves, "You're fucking wrong!"
You're so wrong. Why are you wrong?
But that's okay. That's alright. We like you anyway, mostly.
Even though you hate me, I still love you, and I look
Aw.
forward to all of your hate comments. I mean,
Yeah!
please, just I'm gonna slurp them up like noodles.
Bring it on, bitches.
Hmm.
Um,
So,
yeah,
well, okay, well that was a good conversation
that was.
about some Zeldas. You don't know anything about Final Fantasy, but that's fair.
I
I'll
don't know.
keep that to myself.
Yeah, I don't know shit about Final Fantasy. I know there's like 18 of them or something.
There's 15 in the main series, 32 games total, I
Oh,
believe.
gosh.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know that I want to dive into that right now.
I mean, I've played most of them, man. I can tell you anything about them if you want.
I don't really have any questions. That's okay. I appreciate it, though.
Anytime, man. I mean, like, I'll give you information anytime you need it, man. I know you're so into Final Fantasy.
Oh, yeah, dish me out some of that hot information.
That Cloud was a girl. What?
What?
No, he just portrayed a girl.
Oh, yeah, I think I actually knew that.
Oh,
Think I've
well then.
seen silly maymays about it,
Uh-huh,
maybe.
uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah, little memers.
Yeah. Dank memers.
So, well, then I guess I would consider the Final Fantasy to be the obscure games that I played and that nobody else played while I was growing up.
That's
What kind
fair.
of games do you think that you feel like only you and your family or you yourself played and or liked in general?
That I myself played, that's a tough one. See, because when I was a young lad, I did the sports and
Yes, of course.
subsequently played a decent amount of sports games.
Ooh,
One of the series that probably isn't nearly as quote unquote obscure as I think it is, but compared to other people I talk to, they sure wouldn't know what the hell I'm talking about.
yeah.
Um, I played the ATV Off Road Fury series.
Oh, dang, that's like famous PlayStation 2 era.
I
PlayStation
know.
1. Well, I don't
Is
know if they had a PlayStation 1 release. It was probably mainly PlayStation 2.
I think it was only PlayStation 2. I know 1 through 4 were on the PlayStation 2 and I had all of them.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it was
My
it was so
goodness.
fun. Like I wouldn't even play the quote unquote campaign races.
Right, you'd
It's
probably just free roam, drive around the hills, have fun with the sporty vehicles that they have. I mean, they have more than just ATVs, right?
um in the fourth one they did.
Okay.
In 1 through 3 it was just ATVs.
Okay.
But see it I would like it with my brother and my cousin and sometimes some of my other friends. And we would go into the free roam and one of the most fun things to do was absolutely just to oh, 1 second. Okay, yeah, so it's been a second and definitely not more than 12 hours since
It's
I
not been a
said,
day. No
yeah,
way.
no, not at all. But
Oh
yeah,
man.
in ATV Off-Road Fury, we would go into like the free mode, and one of the most fun things to do was the boundary boxes for the games. In most games you hit it and you can't progress past that point.
Right.
But in ATV Off-Road Fury, if you would hit that point, it would immediately like bounce you back and shoot you back into
Oh,
the
like
middle.
really far, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's so
and
cool.
that was just one of the most fun things to do. And also in the second one, I think it was the second one, second or third, there were like tornadoes that you could go chase down and get into, and it'd like shoot you off of your ATV, and it was neat.
Like little dirt devils just roaming around. I mean, okay,
Yeah,
so one thing that I had a problem with ATV off-road, whatever the fuck the title is,
sure.
I never owned a PlayStation console before the PS4 for only one reason.
Yeah.
They took everything away from Nintendo, and so I angrily kept my Nintendo fanboyism. But another thing that really, I'm just so nitpicky on my games is
Hmm.
color palettes,
Okay.
and I cannot stand straight up desert games or
Okay.
canyon games or any type of those types of areas unless they just do it right, unless it's like a really stylized type of, I guess, environment, so to speak.
And
But ATV, whatever, again, I just didn't see that happening.
that's a totally fair point to make, because even with my nostalgia goggles on, I do feel like it did have a pretty bland color palette,
Right.
which is okay. I didn't like judge it because of that.
No, its
But
gameplay was still, music can make or break a game, graphics can make or break a game, but if the gameplay is just straight up great, awful looking games like Explosion Man, uh,
Explosion Man.
is they still worked out. Like they still did fairly decent. And if they looked better, they probably would have been a AAA super duper mega title instead of just being like this pretty cool title that we would consider quote unquote obscure.
Yeah. And actually, on the obscure point, real quick before we move on,
Hmm.
um, I may have had some time to look up some sales figures just because I was curious to see
Okay.
if it actually was an obscure title, and it definitely doesn't qualify as an obscure series, seeing as on the video game sales wiki, it's the 15th highest selling series for the PlayStation 2.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that it's not obscure, but it felt like it to me.
Well, I mean, uh, growing up where we grew up, it's just it probably was obscure because nobody cared about video games.
Right.
That's just an unfair bias. On
You,
a scale of actual obscure games, I would say one of the more weird obscure games, and I don't know if I've ever made you play it or not.
hmm.
And again, it might not even be obscure because I literally got it from our local video rental store
Uh-huh.
occasionally. It's called Uniracers for the Super Nintendo,
Hmm.
and you're basically this like unicycle, and it's got that whoa super 90s wacky crazy and it like that vibe that it has, and it's so ridiculous. Everybody has some weird name. It's super like up in your face 90s rock, and everything's like gross, like every menu noise like or just really grotesque, that weird stage of the 90s, and that's why I feel like it's an obscure game.
That sounds
um
fantastic.
oh my gosh, it's like the developers were on acid and the rest of the drugs. um
So
I
many
mainly point
drugs.
out acid because of the freaking colors in the game. Like it was such a weird colored game, man.
Hmm.
Like it was trippy as all get out. And if there's anybody out there that doesn't know what Uniracers is or are, and no, that's still correct. It's a singular game with a plural title. Uh,
Uh-huh.
Grammar aside, check it out. It's such a trip to look at. It's almost a headache-inducing game, though. I mean, I've played it recently, and I still have a copy of it. I bought it on
Oh.
eBay because I remember renting it a lot,
Uh-huh.
and I finally got a chance to beat it. They have like different courses or different Grand Prix. The first one snail, the next one turtle, and then the one after that is porcupine,
Uh,
hedgehog.
okay.
I uh,
Gotta go fast.
yeah, I think it was porcupine because they didn't want like oh hedgehog, you gotta go fast. Sega does
Whoa.
what Nintendo don't type of deal.
Yeah.
Um, but that was a really weird game. Another awkward title. I say awkward because I know it's famous and I know a lot of people have played it.
Hmm.
Have you ever heard of Clay Fighters?
I've heard of it.
You've
eh,
never played it though.
Never played it. Isn't it really
It's
expensive now?
I think it depends on which platform you get it on. I mean, it's one of the only games that I've played that barely looks different from its Nintendo 64 release from its Super Nintendo predecessor release.
Huh.
It's that weird. I think they just had a little bit more fluidity. Um, Again, like I don't know how expensive Clay Fighters would be. And I believe it's even spelled with a K. No, it's spelled with a C. It's spelled with a C.
They weren't radical enough to spell it with a K.
Holy shit. Uh,
Also, I would like to say, did you say Sega does and Nintendo don't?
Sega does what Nintendo don't.
What
Yes.
Nintendo? All right, I've never I've never heard that before. That's a good one.
That's a 90s that's a 90s Sega commercial slogan.
Really?
Yeah, and even though the
Ooh.
Super Nintendo was superior in every way possible,
Yeah.
compared to the Sega Genesis, except for one thing, which is
Uh,
what made Sonic games so special was its processing unit. Barely faster than the Super Nintendo's, but what they said was it has blast processing.
Blast
And
processing.
and that was their marketing scheme. And they didn't have any gameplay footage to back it up with, besides like some 3D Sonic stuff. And Nintendo's retort was making a Super FX chip,
Hmm.
and their Super Nintendos that completely blew Sega Genesis out of the water. Um, and everybody, they look back on it, and I'm sure there's still some, Sega Genesis was better than Super Nintendo fans out there, but usually the general public will accept that the Super Nintendo was better in every which way possible, both
Yeah.
by titles, hardware. Its graphics was insanely way more better.
Man,
Um,
everyone always tries to turn like two rival consoles into a total pissing contest.
and I blame Sega on doing that. I mean, back in the day, I didn't really feel like there was any real beef between consoles. They were just trying to get their product out there. They were advertising what they had. And
Uh-huh.
then Sega's like, well, we don't have anything compared to the Super Nintendo. Let's shit on Nintendo. And that's what they did. That was their marketing scheme, and it worked. Like
Yeah.
it honestly genuinely worked out. They used drama as their marketing,
That's
and
that's so stupid.
people still feed off of it today, I'm sure, even
That
with how big the internet is.
internet's really big, yeah.
Super big. Let's talk about obscure games. Anything on the Sega Genesis.
Ha ha
Ha! Take that. Not Sonic games.
Sanic.
Oh, gotta go first. Uh, so, you know, besides obscure games,
Uh-huh.
what would you say the absolute toughest game that you've ever played? I mean, it can be scream worthy, or it can be just straight up like ridiculously long to have to farm up something just to be able to beat it. I
Uh-huh.
mean, it can be skill based, level based, whatever. What would
Sure.
you say the hardest time you had a game playing session was?
So I'm gonna exclude I Wanna Be the Guy because that one's supposed to be just super bullshit hard.
Have you
S
played I Want to Be the Guy?
You made me play I Wanna Be the Guy.
Oh,
Yeah. So I'm
okay.
not gonna count that one just because it's supposed to be hard and congratulations, it does its job right.
Yeah. It's completely learn and relearn, like you basically it's trial and error the game.
Right. So from all the other games that I've played, and maybe this is honestly probably gonna be a more obscure one than my quote unquote obscure game, but
Okay.
I would have to say that it is oh god. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses.
Oh my god.
Have you heard of that?
Oh my god. Yes.
Yes. Did you play it?
No, I didn't play it
Well, it
because it
was.
was Yu-Gi-Oh.
Well, maybe I was just a dumb kid, which, totally plausible.
Well,
But
Yu-Gi-Oh was really popular for us, especially like third through sixth grade. You're pretty much a loser for playing Yu-Gi-Oh after that.
right. But here's the thing. That game wasn't like a card game.
No,
Take Yu-Gi-Oh and mash it with a real-time strategy game.
that's so weird.
It's odd, but thinking back on it, it's like a neat concept.
Yeah.
But I
So
just,
it was more like a turn-based strategy game.
yeah, turn-based strategy. You're
Oh,
right. You're right.
yeah.
But it was that, and I could never get far in that game at all. Probably a combination of both being bad at strategy games at the time and
Okay.
bad at Yu-Gi-Oh at the time.
Right. I still don't know Yu-Gi-Oh that well.
I don't either.
I
Even
think I know Magic the Gathering more than I know Yu-Gi-Oh, and I've literally had like 2 years experience, or just I've only known how to play Magic the Gathering, circa 2 years ago.
okay, I dig.
Um, yeah, I don't like, but turn-based strategy games are very, very difficult.
Very
Um,
nice. I like them.
even even for somebody as well experienced as I much prefer turn-based strategy games than I do real-time strategy games.
Uh-huh.
Um, the only RTS that I really liked was yeah, and massively unpopular opinion,
Sure.
StarCraft 2. Can't
Okay.
stand. I don't like it. Maybe it's just because it's too fast paced and my brain's like
People are gonna be
uh.
like, "Yeah, you're just too dumb to play StarCraft 2. It's a great game."
Why aren't you putting in 200 commands per minute, man? Come on. Why aren't you putting in 300 commands per second, man? You just gotta keep clicking. You gotta keep going. Gotta keep clicking. I gotta get those resources. Oh, why aren't you getting those resources? Yeah, you gotta get those resources. There's resources right over there. Hey, how come you haven't put it in your commands yet?
Oh
How come you don't have units
God!
on your field yet? And it's just a big mind brain explosion. Like you say, oh. Meanwhile, um,
Yeah.
I would say the most difficult game that I've ever played.
Uh-huh.
Same excluding I want to be the guy.
Right.
I don't necessarily find that difficult though, because
Shut
once you
up.
find out about it, it's simple because you already know all the patterns and shit. Um my golly gosh.
Uh-huh.
Instantly what comes to mind,
Do it.
and I really can't say Mike Tyson's Punch Out because it's another trial and error pattern recognition
Right.
type of game.
Love that
So
game.
let's go into more difficult. I'm gonna have to say Tactics Ogre.
Tactics
Um,
Ogre?
yeah, have you ever heard of Final Fantasy Tactics?
Actually, I think I have heard of it. I haven't played it for damn sure, but I've heard of it.
It's made by the same people, only they go way more into the tactics part. And I think they have like over like somewhere in between, if I recall correctly, and I
Uh-huh.
could be completely wrong, there's over 50 status ailments that you need to pay attention to.
Good lord, man.
And it's basically like Risk on steroids, jacking off massively.
Okay. Uh,
Like Tactics Ogre. It's
yeah.
it's it, just imagine an ogre
Okay.
who pays no attention but to tactics, and that's your game. And he's whacking off all over you,
But
pinning you down.
why has he got to be whacking off?
Because that's what the game does to you. It's a big circle jerk fest of, hey, you remember that last level? Well, forget everything about that. This is a new level.
Woo!
And it feels like the tutorial on that game lasts 10 hours.
Oh my gosh. For
Every,
serious?
for serials, man. Like you feel like you get a hang of something. You get a hang of the mechanics, and then it just completely turns your fucking... It basically is Russell Your Jimmy's the game.
I like your meme there. That's a nice meme.
You like my old style classic memages?
It's a classic meme.
Super classic meme.
Vintage 2001.
A lot of classic games are hard.
Yeah.
Let's talk about hard classic games then.
Hard classic
games.
Okay.
Like, let's go. I feel like I'm a little more into the classical games than you are.
I would agree with that.
I think the hardest classic game that I've ever played, besides Ninja Gaiden again, because I don't want to talk about it. That's just nightmares.
That's honestly.
Fair. I do want to say Ninja Gaiden, but that's such a cop-out answer. Castlevania games really gave me a lot of trouble. Not just, I couldn't get through the levels. And sure, I was a pretty youngster kid playing them, but it just seemed like the final bosses were absolutely ridiculous. I broke so many controllers trying to get through it. It didn't help that I had angry little man syndrome.
ALMS?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But other than that, I don't really consider many classic games that difficult anymore because of my experience. Maybe Contra. Contra could be a great example of a fucking hard-ass game.
Okay.
It's basically one shot, you die, you get 3 lives in the beginning, and you have to go through like 10 levels that are ridiculously long.
Gross.
It was fun. It was super fun. What classic games have you played that you would have considered like really overly difficult compared to others?
See, I've got one in mind, but thinking back on it, it's honestly probably only hard in my mind because I played it when I was super young.
Yeah.
Definitely single digits.
Okay.
And I think it was called Kung Fu.
Oh golly. For the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a really fucking hard game.
Is it? Okay, I don't feel as bad about it now then.
No, I totally forgot about it.
I could usually get to like the second level of the tower or what the hell ever you were doing.
Yeah.
But they're like sneaky snakes and things that fell from the ceiling, I think.
That's basically crouch kick the game.
Yeah, crouch kicks. That was like the only thing.
Yeah, is that what you did even as a kid? You found that out?
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's the only one I could think of off the top of my head. I didn't play a whole lot of really classic games. I played some on the NES, but
well,
like
I would
said,
say even Game Boy Advance games are considered classic games nowadays. I mean, they are over 10 years old.
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah.
Stop making me feel old.
Dude, we're both getting old.
We are.
And you know what else is old and hard?
No. What?
Ending this podcast.